celebrating your birthday by impacting people, empowering people, equipping people, it is definitely something special and something to be applauded and kind of recognized, right? So just go ahead in the chat box and just wish a happy birthday to Mr. Impact Linjo and then celebrate him for what he's doing, for who he is, and for his heart for the people, and of course, his special desire to see people impacted. Come on, go ahead in the chat box here on Zoom, and if you're following on social media, on Facebook, on YouTube, go ahead and do that as we look at this special topic that he wants us to focus on. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you all. Go ahead, go ahead. Don't be selfish. You cannot be here and not celebrating the person that gathered us here, right? Yes. So it is very important. Give honor to whom honor is due, all right? Yes, he deserves the celebration, he deserves the recognition, and of course the appreciation. Because for him, for bringing Mr. Jason Godlove here and bringing me here, the point is we have no idea what they had to go through to have these people here, right? So it's not kind of an easy thing to do. All right. So get your pens, get yourselves ready for, I want to guarantee you that this will change your life forever. What I am going to talk about, I strongly believe that it will cause a lifetime shift in your destiny, in what God created you and sent you here on earth to do. The question is, will you will you be present? Will you pay attention? Will you do your part to ensure that you are actively partaking of what we are covering today? All right, so the theme for this event that Linja has put together is is on the topic raising a generation of independent thinkers, leaders, and community builders. And it is kind of on in alignment with his book that he'll be launching, I think tomorrow, on the topic the transition from dependence to independence, and with a powerful subtitle, I must make my parents proud. I don't know who here is so conscious of that, but trust me, I am very conscious of that, right? I want to make my parents proud, and I hope that everybody is a child, everybody has a parent, right? Whether they are alive or they have transitioned to the world beyond, whether you're 70 years old, 50 years old, 13 years old, one special thing in your heart that you must have is to do what? Is to make your parents proud. And one of the best ways to do that is to know think, how to think like an independent builder in your generation. However, I am going to tilt this topic a bit to handle something peculiar. And I believe that is something that if we as a people know how to do and practice it, is going to change the rest of our lives. I strongly believe so. So I want to talk on becoming a disruptor and a culture shaper in your generation. I want to teach you how to become a disruptor, how to become a culture shaper in your generation. Because if you're going to be an independent thinker, you're going to be a leader, and you're going to be a community builder in your generation, according to the topic that we have gathered here to look at, one thing that you must know how to do is how can I, as a person, become a disruptor, become a culture shaper in my generation. You see, a few years ago, maybe about 7 to 10 years ago, one thing I discovered was that one of the pathways, one of the pathways to impact, to influence, and to prosperity, and even to legacy is to be a disruptor and a culture shaper. You see, there are people that are born into impact. There are people that are born into influence, into prosperity, into legacy. There are people that they are born with powerful last names, right? But many people, they need to walk their way into prosperity. They need to find their pathways into impact, into influence, into prosperity, into legacy, and what have you. And there are different pathways to do that, right? And one of the pathways is to become a culture shaper, is to become a builder, is to become a leader in your community, in your industry, in your nation, or where you find yourself. So, who is a culture shaper? Who is a disruptor? And what does it take to become this person I'm talking about? And you know what? Before I talk about becoming a culture shaper and becoming a builder, a disruptor in your generation, in your time, let me talk about who the masses are. Why? Because in every generation, there are culture shapers, there are builders, and there are the masses. There are people that are clueless. The average people, they have no idea what is going on, and they are just existing. They are not living life, right? Because when you know the difference, you will know where you fall, right? And in every society, the masses are always the largest number of people, millions of them. Very few people are culture shapers. Very few people are disrupting their generation, their industries, and their nations. Very small people. Majority, many of the people that you see around the world, they are around the masses or the average people, right? And these are the people that are comfortable. They are part of the crowd. They live life on default setting. Follow me carefully, right? These are people that they they like to compare a lot with other people. They say things like, as long as everybody else is doing this, I am okay with it. These are the people that form the masses, right? These are the people that they spend a lot of time scrolling on social media more than studying. These are people that they spend a lot of time complaining instead of building and creating. These are people that they spend a lot of time debating on which celebrity is dating which celebrity, which footballer is driving which car and driving which private jet, right? Those are where the masses fall. They spend a lot of time scrolling on TikTok and on people's, WhatsApp statuses as if it's a full-time unpaid internship. Those are the masses, right? These are the masses that they they think that networking is taking selfies with people and posting them on social media, right? If you're here and you wait for motivation, you want people to talk to you and inspire you and motivate you before you start doing things that will change your life and your generation, you are the masses. You are the masses. You're always looking for motivation, right? If you are the kind of person that you spend a lot of time debating on which TV show, which movie series to watch and which one not to watch and which to watch next, you are in the masses category, right? If you are the kind of person that when you look at people who are too passionate, you are too ambitious. You are thinking like the masses, right? And the masses, these are the people that they live life on default. They live life on comfort. They complain instead of creating. But you see, looking at the topic of this particular program for today, you cannot be an independent thinker. You cannot move your generation if you are thinking like the masses, if you are living like the masses, if you are kind of allergic to learning and studying, right? Because the people who are in the category of the masses, they are allergic to studying, right? They can spend years without reading two books, right? Because they are allergic to learning skills that can make them become better in their industry and in their generation, right? Who are the masses? People that they spend a lot of time complaining about the system, about the country, but they never study how the system works and what they can do from their end to change the system. That is what the masses do. Who are the masses? In this generation of social media, they post amazing quotes on social media about self-discipline. Meanwhile, they spend the whole time on of social media watching movies and scrolling and watching videos and laughing. The masses, right? So if you are going to be an independent thinker and shape your generation, you have to be the opposite of the masses. You have to be the opposite of the masses. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to show you how to break out. Because if you are going to be a generational thinker, you must stop being the kind of person that you focus on updating your phone, updating new dresses and new shoes, and you never update the quality of your mindset and the quality of knowledge that you deploy into the world, right? You must avoid being the kind of person that you just do just enough to survive, but you never do big things to break out and to be a game changer in your generation. You must be able to avoid the consciousness that, hey, maybe I'm too young for this, and start thinking of maybe I am young because I need to begin to do big things with the energy that I have. So it is very important for us to begin to break out, because looking at the topic that Linjo has put together, that as a people, how can we become a generation of independent thinkers, leaders, and community builders in our generation? And that's the focus. Right now, before I start showing you how to become a culture shaper, before I start showing you how to become a disruptor, before I start showing you the things that you can begin to do to become a voice in your generation, I want to talk about what I like to call the three generational forces that will shape you, or that are shaping you right now. There are three major generational forces that are shaping every one of us right now. Three of them. Number one, the force of inherited beliefs. The force of inherited beliefs. These are beliefs that, based on the family you grew up with, based on where you were born, there are things that you have subconsciously absorbed, and that force is shaping you whether you like it or not. Let me tell you something. There are many people right now, under the sound of my voice, they are operating under fears. They are operating under the same financial habits that their mothers and their fathers operated in. They are operating under the same thinking patterns that their parents operated in without even realizing it. There are people that, if their parents struggled from scarcity mindset, they are also struggling from that mindset. They are rejecting abundance, and they're thinking that, hey, this thing is too good to be true. It cannot happen to me. Right? And if you are struggling with inherited beliefs, you'll find it difficult to become a voice in your generation. Why? Because you can never produce impact and influence beyond the quality of your belief. Number two, what is the second force that is shaping you, whether you like it or not? The force of environmental conditioning. The force of environmental conditioning. Let me tell you something. The society you are born in, the society you live in, is reinforcing something into you, whether you know it or you don't know it. And when you know it, there are things that you begin to do to avoid that environmental conditioning. You see, as a result of my work, I have traveled extensively, 20 countries plus different continents, and I have met people from different countries, right? And if you meet South Africans, there is a way they talk, they think, and they look at life. If you meet Nigerians, oh my goodness, those guys always on fire, right? There's a way they talk, there's a way they think. If you meet Kenyans, if you meet a typical UK person, you meet a typical American, you meet a typical Canadian, typical Swedish person, Australian, there's a way that they look at life. There's a way they behave. There are things that they pursue that is important to them. Why? Because the force of environmental conditioning is at work. And that force is shaping you either for good or for bad. Other environments include your church. Other environments include the school that you went to. Because your community, your church, your school, all of these have different cultures that you have inherited and they are conditioning you. And there are many people that the quality of their results in their time, in their generation, can never be bigger than what they desire because they are still building or thinking or acting based on that conditioning. Right? So it is very important. Now, the last force, the third force that you need to know about is what I call the force of intentional breakthrough. Now, this is the force that you have something to do with. You see, the force of inherited beliefs, you did not decide to be born in the family where you were born into. Right? The force of environmental conditioning. You did not decide that, hey, God send me to Cameroon, send me to Nigeria, send me to the United States. No, you did not decide that. But there is a force that you can decide, which is the force of intentional breakthrough. This is where you make up your mind that I am going to take charge of my destiny. And you see, if you're going to be an independent thinker, according to the topic for today, if you're going to be a force in your community, in your nation, you must know how to use the force of intentional breakthrough. You must come to a point in your journey in life where you make up your mind, I am taking charge of my destiny. And how do you do that? You begin to study the patterns that you grew up with. And you begin to destroy those limiting patterns. And you begin to introduce new disciplines that will shape the rest of your life for good. Right? It is very, very important. You must make up your mind that, hey, I must be intentional about the kind of life I am going to live. So many of us here, if you are going to become, independent thinkers, community builders, and nation builders, according to the theme for these events that the organizer gave us, you must spend some time after today and audit your inherited beliefs, audit your inherited behaviors, audit your inherited mindset. You must make up your mind after today. What do I need to reject and what do I need to redefine? You have to do that. There are many things that you are accepting that are playing a negative role against your advancement in destiny. So what do you need to reject right now? Like in some countries, like let's say when you grow up in a country like Cameroon, it's such a normal thing that alcohol is like human right, right? It's so basic, it's like drinking water, right? And if you don't understand that there is a kind of conditioning that it brings to you and contributes to you, you will not even reject it and you will not redefine that inherited belief. Right? So you must come to a place in your journey in life where you make up your mind, I am going to intentionally break free from these patterns I have seen that limit me and people in my life through structured personal growth plan. Right? For example, I always tell people that, look, the first step to breaking free is go and study. Go and take a moment, especially people that come from average families, survival families, humble families, families in the lower class and things like that. Go and study your family. Spend time, start with your parents, then start with your uncles and aunties, both from your father's side and mother's side. After that, study your immediate neighbors. You will see patterns that most of them are living by. And start doing the opposite of the patterns. And create a structured personal growth plan that will enable you to win. You see, one of the best things that I did in my life from the age of 18 was that I started reading a lot of books. And because new information and new knowledge has the capacity of destroying patterns or inherited patterns and ignorance, right? And when you understand that, it helps you to become a better person. Now, I want to show you now, what do you need to start doing to become a culture shaper, to become a disruptor in your generation? These are things that you can begin to apply it right now at any level in your life. Whether you're a young person, whether you're in the middle age, or whether you feel as if you're getting old, it doesn't matter. What matters is, do you have the consciousness? Do you have the belief system that there is something more you can bring to your generation? You need to do that. You need to do that. So before I show you what to do, let me describe to you who a culture shaper is. So I started by telling you briefly about who the masses are. And now we want to move you, all of us, to start functioning as culture shapers. Now, who is a culture shaper? A culture shaper is any individual who makes up his or her mind that, you know what, I am going to influence and begin to engineer my life contrary to prevailing attitudes, contrary to prevailing behaviors and norms within my community or within a nation. When you begin to make up your mind that you are going to take certain actions and steps, you are going to change the way you communicate by setting the right tone and the right direction as far as your life is concerned and the people around you. And when somebody is considered a culture shaper, these are people that they make up their mind that I will change the way I think, and I will also contribute in changing the way people think and act around me. Those are culture shapers, right? So what can you do to become a culture shaper? A few things that if you practice some today, they will turn you into a voice in your generation. Number one, number one, always have this consciousness and this understanding that you are not called to judge or to criticize the culture. You are called to disrupt and shape the culture. If you are going to be a nation builder, a community builder, a voice in your generation that commands impact, influence, and prosperity and income, right? One thing you must know how to do is that you must avoid being somebody who judges and criticizes the culture. No. The masses, people in the lower class and the average class, they are people that know how to judge and to criticize. You see them everywhere on Facebook and on social media. But culture shapers and leaders, they focus on what can I disrupt? What can I shape? What can I improve? So instead of making noise by criticizing and judging, they focus on what can I create and build that can disrupt and shape what is existing. Because here's the fact, when you study history, judging has never changed anything. Judging and criticizing has never transformed anyone or any culture or any nation. Criticizing has never changed or transformed anything or anyone or any institution. But here's the fact, and it has been proven years after years. When you adopt a builder's mindset, when you adopt a disrupting mindset, you begin to be that kind of person that instead of finding what is wrong and making noise about it, you begin to study what are the weak spots in this system and how can I make it stronger? How can I improve it? So you focus on observing, identifying, and building. If you are going to be a voice in your generation, this is what you must do. Let me tell you something. I have never seen anybody given an award for being the best judging personality or the best criticizer in the world. Every award given was always given to a builder, to a disruptor, to somebody who owns or who creates platforms. Are you judging and criticizing, or are you building and creating? Where do you fall? So you need to begin to focus on possibilities. It's a mindset. It's a revelation. It's an understanding. You need to begin to move your energy, your time, your resources towards creative plans, not complaining about what is wrong. When somebody complains about anything around me, I always ask them a simple question: what are you introducing to make it better? If not, shut the hell up. Shut the hell up, right? You are not a builder. You have no right to complain and speak against somebody. Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up, right? Because we need to come to a place where we need to understand that in this generation, you lead by living. You lead by living as a builder. You lead by showing others a new example. You lead by taking steps. And through those steps, you begin to reveal to somebody that this is a better way to do it, not a better way to communicate it. So, if you are going to be an independent thinker, you're going to be a voice in your generation, remember, you are not sent here to judge and to criticize the culture. You are sent here to disrupt and to shape the culture. Unfortunately, 90% or plus of the human race, they fall in that first category. They can judge, they can criticize, they can talk, but very few people are building. That's why majority of the world's wealth and prosperity is being held at the top. And people speak against rich people and billionaires and millionaires. Go and look at what they're creating. Go and look at what they're building. Go and look at the platforms they own and they run. Go and look at the systems that they run. You will see why they are rich and why they are where they are. Number two, you need to move from judging and criticizing to elite thinking patterns. There is something I call elite thinking patterns. You see, one of the most hardest things to give to people, especially people who fall within the masses, as I explained, or people who fall within the average class and the lower class, is a job that requires them to think. Many people don't like it. Let me give an example. Of recent, I've been creating a lot of posts on sources of passive income that people can do, right? I'll talk about 20 passive incomes for stay-at-home moms, 15 passive incomes for primary school teachers, and things like that. If I show you my inbox, you will laugh. People come and say that as easy as those things are, people come and say that how difficult it is to do it. I'm like, if this is so difficult for you to do, I guarantee you will never make money in this life. Because something that requires people to think deeper and create, many people don't like it. Many people don't like it, right? For example, in one of the last posts I did, and I said, you know what? Or you can just begin to sell what I've created. Majority of the people, they didn't want to spend time to think and create what I suggested they can create, but they prefer to come and begin to market what I've created. You know why? Because very few people can create. And in this generation, as long as you are not creating, you will always be a follower. Nothing on being a follower, right? But there are many followers who are creators, but those are value-worthy followers, right? What they call them in business, entrepreneurs, right? But if you are going to become a builder in your generation, you need to begin to move intentionally from judging, from criticizing and complaining into elite thinking patterns, into taking actions that would disrupt and reshape the culture in your life and around your life. Because let me tell you something, you will always see people that are drowning in shackles and chains that they have grown up learning and practicing from what is around them. And if you're going to be a builder in your generation, in your community, you need to be comfortable at questioning common thinking, question popular thinking. Come to a place in your thinking pattern where you you stop going along with the standard ideas. You begin to test them with new viewpoints and new tools. And you see, that's where the power of studying comes in. Because you cannot question common knowledge or common thinking with old knowledge. No, you need new knowledge, new ideas, new perspective to now question what is common, what is standard, so you can begin to introduce things that are better. You see, that's why when I train on business innovation or product design thinking, one concept I always say is that one way that innovation happens is when what you know and what you don't know interlocks. When there's that intersection, right? Let me use my charger and try to explain this, right? Let's use black and white. Now, this is how many a times innovation happens. Let's say what you know is black, this black charger. What you don't know is this white charger. Many a times innovation happens when what you know and what you don't know when they interlock. When there is that meeting point, innovation breaks out. For example, as you are listening to me, you're going to hear things that you don't know, right? And when the things that you don't know meet with what you know, it should create a new way of thinking. And when you begin to improve, you begin to adapt, you begin to build upon, you begin to add the body of knowledge on that new thinking and begin to execute it, you begin to produce new results. You see that now. So and that's the power of elite thinking because it challenges you to question common thinking. And when you're questioning common thinking, what happens? You're going to be forced to study. You're going to be forced to read. You're going to be forced to attend programs like this. Because the more you sit under programs like this or read books in this light, that is how you begin to build your mental intelligence and it makes you an elite thinker in your industry, in your community, or in your nation. Right? Because that is the place to be if you are going to be a person of impact and influence. Right? Because one major difference between the masses and culture shapers is that the masses are good at tearing down, and culture shapers are good at transforming and building. That's why, have you ever noticed? Look at those who rant on social media, right? Have you ever seen a billionaire that you know? Have you ever seen a politician? Have you ever seen somebody who is busy and doing big things ranting on social media? Type yes, right? You hardly see on these popular blogs here and there. Go and look at those comments on those blogs. You will never see any of those guys there because people that tear down, people that rant, people that criticize and judge, they are always people with the right average thinking, or they fall under what you can call the masses or the lower class, right? So if you are going to start becoming a person of impact and influence and high income, one thing you must pay the price to do is that you must challenge yourself to avoid being the person who is always tearing down and be the person who is transforming and building. Be the person that who is always looking at how can I build this from inside out? How can I offer better upgrades? How can I suggest better updates? How can I simplify this thing that is so complex so others can do it better? Right? And when you begin to do this, that is how you begin to rise in your generation. That's how you begin to help people. And here's the fact: the more people you help with the value that you create, the more impactful, the more influential, and the more money you make. So shift from judging and criticizing to elite thinking. If you are learning something and this is speaking to you, can you type, I am becoming a culture shaper in the chat box? Go ahead. Type, I am becoming a culture shaper in the chat box here on Zoom and on YouTube or on Facebook. Go ahead, give me some feedback. At least I'm not talking alone. Give me some feedback. Type, I am becoming a culture shaper in the chat box. All right. Good, good, good. Look at that. Thank you for that feedback. Thank you for that feedback. Thank you for that feedback. All right. Now, what's the third thing? As I said, I want to show you things that you can begin to do from today so they can become that, builder, that independent thinker, that culture shaper that you're supposed to be as per the theme that we are focusing on today. All right. Now, the third thing I would recommend you to do is that develop the attitude and the intentionality of designing new norms instead of just believing and accepting old norms, right? I will explain. But challenge yourself to make up your mind that I am going to become the person that designs new norms instead of just accepting the old ones that I grew up seeing or I am seeing right now in my community. You see, when you train your mind to focus on what is the new norm, what is the new idea that I can always introduce instead of just calling the old ones broken or instead of just accepting the old ones, you will always see better ways of doing things. For example, right, I was talking to somebody and I said, um, because she wants to be a teacher, right? Why? Because her father is a teacher, mother a teacher, everybody around her is a teacher. I'm like, can't you think of a better career, a more influential career, and one that can make you make 10 times what your father can make in 1 month? Can't you think at that level? Why are you just accepting the old norms that you have grown up seeing? Because, and that's the power. And that's the power of positioning your mind to be the kind of mind that, you know what, I am a culture builder, I am a culture shaper. And because of who I am, because I'm an independent thinker, even though existing ways have been existing, I am going to design new norms of doing these things, new ways of doing these things, right? Because let me tell you something here. Show me an individual who has the mindset and the experience of always designing and suggesting new alternatives. That person will never be stranded in life. If you have trained your mind to always designing and applying new alternatives, you cannot be stranded in life and you will always be a voice in a generation. You see, many people are lost. Many people are dependent thinkers and literally nowhere to be found because they don't have the consciousness, they don't have the desire, they have not trained themselves to always introduce a better alternative. Is a lifestyle, is an understanding, is a consciousness, is a mindset, right? So you need to train yourself that I am the person that I may see old ways that are existing, but I will start taking steps to train my mind to design new norms or new alternatives. Why? Because if you are going to be an independent thinker, you're going to be a community builder, a leader according to the topic for this event, you must be that kind of person that you are bold enough and you pay the price to acquire the knowledge that can enable you to offer updated ways of doing things. Many people don't offer updated ways of doing things. Many people are not bold enough to take the lead and show other people that, hey, this is a better way of doing it. Many people are not comfortable at taking steps that can lead to small improvements and consequently big improvements. Do you know that if you can just make up your mind from today that I am going to be the person that makes small improvements anywhere I am, that people begin to see positive change anywhere I am, you're going to become a voice in a generation, right? But it takes a mindset, it takes a consciousness, it takes that strong will to make up your mind that I am the person that designs new norms or new ways of doing things, or I suggest alternatives where I am, and I am comfortable to fail. I am okay for others to call me over ambitious. I am okay for others to say idi over shosho, right? That I am totally okay with that. But like I always say something funny. You will say that I am overdoing it. At the end, you'll be a follower and I'll be a leader. Unfortunately, that is life. That is the way of life. So I want to challenge you. Be the person that when you see old culture or old ways of doing things, you challenge yourself. You start thinking, how can I design a new way, a better alternative? It's a powerful way of being a builder, of being a person of impact and influence and even income in your generation. Let me tell you something. You want to make better, more money, and consistently grow in your finances. These are things that you must be good at doing. It's the foundation of wealth creation, too. You see, number 4, and then I take questions. If you're going to be a culture shepherd, I have 20 elements, so I can only share 4, right? If I want to teach all of this the way I have it in my notes, this is like a 5 hours master class, right? Okay. But I'm going to give you the 4 that if you apply from today, it's going to be a shift in a generation, right? And on my YouTube channel, there are more. I have taught these on different ways on my YouTube channel, so you can be part of it, right? So number 4, what is the 4th thing that you can do that will enable you to be a voice, a builder in your generation? Very simple trick, and it works a lot. Use questions and not judgment. Use questions and not judgment. Right? When somebody does something, ask questions a lot. And let me give you a funny trick. This had helped me in my marriage a lot, right? I when a wife does something, maybe a mistake, right? I like to ask a question like, I like to understand what was she thinking that made her to do that, right? And it made me to like, kind of also have a better relationship, right? So she's not afraid that I'm going to judge her. Same as for me, I'm not afraid that she's going to judge me, right? So I prefer to ask questions. So, oh, you did this way. So why didn't you do it this way? Oh, let me know. What were your thoughts that made you do it this way instead? Right? Now, when you become the person that asks questions, instead of judging and criticize, I guarantee you're going to be a very innovative person. Because the mind is designed in a way that when the mind asks questions, the mind will start seeking for answers. Why? Because the mind does not like to be in the dark. That is why if you watch a movie and the movie is part 1 that is released, and you hear that part 2 is released, my goodness, you are so hungry to watch part 2. Do I have customers? Type yes in the chat box if that is you. I am like that, right? I have particular movies that I follow. I follow the franchise, right? Like Mission Impossible, Fast and Furious. I have very few movies that I follow that they're the only movies that I watch, right? So when I know that a new franchise is coming out, I cannot sleep. I want to go pay for it. I want to watch it, right? Because the mind does not like to be kept in the dark, right? And use it for good. Start asking questions. Oh, you know what? But in recent, why is this country like this? And then the man will give you an answer. Oh, it's the people. Okay, why do they behave like this? Hmm. Oh, maybe it's the way they grew up. Oh, why did they grow up this way? You see, your mind will start seeking questions, and that will lead you into research. And show me somebody who asks questions and carries out research. I will show you somebody who will end up building things that will change their generation. Because if you cannot be a leader without sparking real change, and you cannot spark real change without questioning things, and you cannot be somebody who is judging a lot and changing at the same time. No, the two cannot go together. Show me somebody who spends time judging, criticizing, and complaining. I will show you somebody who hardly change anything. They hardly contribute change anywhere they find themselves. Because you cannot be a chief complaining officer and at the same time you're a chief execution officer. It doesn't work like that. I have a book in that light, right? There are people that they are chief complaining officer, and so they have PhD in complaining. You cannot be a chief complaining officer, a chief judging officer, and expect to be a chief execution officer. No, one must give way to the other. Right? So when you learn how to use questions instead of judging things, there will be a major shift in your life. So that's why, if you notice, due to my work as a consultant, as a trainer, I have met a lot of millionaires and billionaires. And one thing I noticed that they ask a lot of why. Oh, why did you do that? Oh, why do you think that? Oh, why are you going to that place? They ask a lot of why. Why? Because when you are able to dig deep, you uncover reasons behind the behavior. So instead of shaming and blaming people, you see, those who have worked with me before as my employees or interns, they will tell you that I have never shamed or blamed or shouted at them. Not because they don't do things wrong, not because we don't discipline in the business that I run, no, but because instead of shaming and blaming and complaining, I prefer to ask deep questions that will uncover the reason behind certain behavior or certain characters. And the more you do that, it also helps the people to develop faster and become better employees or better leaders in their generation. So begin to train your mind to ask questions. Oh, why did you attend this event? Why is it important to you? Why are you here? After this, what will you be doing and why will you do it? When you ask better questions instead of judging, instead of complaining, there's going to be a major shift in your destiny. Why? Because when you stay curious, you see, it has been proven that curiosity opens doors for fresh ideas. Right? So the more curious you are, the more you are able to tap into fresh ideas. But the more judgmental you are, I tell you, you can never be innovative. Judgmental people are they are not innovative people. You see, and you cannot be a builder, a community builder, a leader, an independent thinker, and be a judgmental person at the same time. No, the two cannot go together. But when you're a curious person, it opens doors to fresh ideas. And when you do more research around that idea, you increase your body of knowledge around the idea, you partner with people around the same idea, you're going to be a builder and a leader before you know it. So I want to challenge you. Instead of judging, can you ask questions? Be the independent thinker you're supposed to be. And when you're asking questions, be okay with unusual answers. Many people are not changing their generation because they want to hear the same answers. You see, I run a mentorship program. Most of my mentees, if you're coming to me to mentor, you'll be comfortable that I'm going to challenge you. And I am never going to say things that you're going to like. If not, I'm not interested to mentor you. I am going to give you unusual answers, unusual assignments, right? And if you are not okay with the usual answers, I guarantee you always have the same result in destiny. So be okay with odd and unexpected responses. And let me tell you something. When when you are okay to welcome unexpected responses, unusual answers, at some point they lead you to big breakthroughs. Why? Remember, I said that major innovations mostly happen when what you know and what you don't know, when there is an intersection. When there's an intersection, there's always a major breakthrough. You see that now? So I want to challenge you. From today, can you ask questions and begin to seek answers instead of judging and pointing fingers? Because people who have judged and pointed fingers, they have never been celebrated or given any award before. And I've never seen a company paying somebody for judging, criticizing, and complaining. Right? Companies only hire and pay people that solve the problems. And you cannot solve problems and be a voice in your generation if you cannot ask good questions and seek for answers. So I want to challenge you. I have shared with you amazing things that if you go apply, you're going to see a major shift in your life. I always tell people, when you sit under my sessions, I always challenge people, develop a 90 days action plan based on what you heard. Listen to me carefully. Based on what you heard, I want to challenge you in the next 90 days, based on what you heard, what will you stop doing based on what you heard today? What will you continue doing based on what you heard today? And what will you start doing based on what you heard today? Find answers to these three things. Develop an action plan and try to execute it for 90 days without skipping a day. And you'll see how your life will move 10 times ahead. You cannot become a person of impact, influence, and income, become an independent thinker if you are not willing to execute at that kind of level. You don't guesswork and make it in life. You don't assume and make it in life. Like I always found this, say life is both a science and an art. The people making it, there's something they know that maybe you don't know. And through programs like this, they begin to teach you the science and the art behind the things that big people do that lead them into results that make them to be a voice in their generation. All right, I can take two questions and I'm done. All right, so from YouTube, I can take one question from YouTube and one question from Zoom or Facebook, and then we're good to go. Now, before questions are coming, you can type your question or you can unmute your mic and ask your question before questions are coming. In the chat box and in the comment section, can you type one lesson that stood out for you? And for those who are taking notes, I want to challenge you. Can you take a screenshot of that and post on your story on Instagram and tag me, and I'll share it. I like accountability, right? This social media generation, that's how we do accountability. All right. Before questions are coming, in the chat box, write one thing that you learned that spoke to you that you're going to apply after today. Are you doing it? Any questions? Any questions? All right. It seems there are no questions, right? So it means that I had very good students, Abby. Very, very amazing students today.
Not
Okay.
true. Not true. I just had network issues.
All right, go ahead.
Is
Go ahead
everybody
and ask
hearing me?
questions. Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, my question basically is I've been on the road on the journey of impact, and just when I wanted to do something against the norm, my parents were like, I should not go down that road. I wanted to start this business. I wanted to uh invest more in this thing that I was building, and they discouraged it so much that it caused me to like delay my in fact everything just got delayed and things just cloudy just because of
Yeah.
that. I've been trying as much as possible to raise money to do it on my own, but it's just been cloudy and yeah, it's difficult.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. When parents act like that, it's not because they don't love you, right? It is. Let me tell you something. Many parents, like you, the age you're growing in and the age that your parents grew in are two different dispensations, right? And there is a way that they see life. And many a times, parents advise their kids based on their experience and based on the dispensation they grew up in, without knowing that that dispensation may no longer work at this particular time, right? So it is out of love that they kind of counsel people that, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, and don't do that, right? Like for example, there are some things that if you do now, you're going to succeed faster because of social media and so on, right? Like if your parents in 50 years ago, if they wanted to gather uh, um, 50 people like we have done from one spot at the same time, like this, on different platforms, they would have needed to spend about 3 months or even 6 months going from church to church in Jangi group and so on, asking people to come, and people will not end up coming because they're going to forget, right? So there are many different realities now than what they grew up with. So many a times, parents are counseling kids based on their dispensation, their level of knowledge, and their level of exposure, right? And unfortunately, that is limiting so many kids, right? Like, for example, when I really made up my mind to take on this path, a good number of people in my family did not understand, right? They did not understand why. And I did not have a lot of that support per se, right? Because, of course, again, I don't blame them because it was exposure, but I so much believe that this is what I'm called to do, right? So, what am I saying? What you need to do is that, first of all, it's not for you to be stubborn. Step one. It's not for you to rant. It's not for you to get angry. It's not for you to be disrespectful. No, it's not for you to do that. It's for you to drive a conversation. And let me tell you, that conversation is not going to be a one-time conversation. That conversation is going to take some time for them to understand you. And it doesn't mean that you should not continue to build what you're building. It means that what you're building should you should do your part to ensure that it is producing result, because one thing that parents cannot refuse is result. Let me tell you something funny I did. One time, I remember the first time after I resigned from my job to say that I'm going to become a coach, trainer, consultant, all of that, 2000 and what, 12, 13 or so. You see, there was a lot of back and forth with the family because I was working at the time in the microfinance. So they thought I started my life well at a young age at that time. But I didn't like it. I knew what I wanted to do. So at the back and forth, all of that and things like that. And one of the first times that I really communicated with back home was when I was flying out of the country for the first time to go and speak somewhere. And I said, I'm in a plane and I'm traveling out. That was it. Right. So what am I trying to say? When people are in this particular spot in life, I always encourage them. Don't just build blindly. Don't build with passion. Don't build with excitement. Build with strategy and results. Why? Because there is one thing that parents cannot argue: results. Can you feed yourself? Can you pay your bills? And can you one day stand as a proud son or daughter and take care of something in the family with money because of what you're doing? Can you do that? A parent cannot question that. Why? Because through your results, you will now open their minds to say, oh, somebody can make money doing this as a profession. Yes, Because in the 2012 and 13 in Kumbu or in Banso at the time, I mean, being a coach and a trainer and a consultant, it was not a popular profession. So nobody could believe that it can make a living, right? So there are new parts that people in our generation are going to do that our parents have never done before. There are new roles, new jobs. 50 years ago, there was no job like social media manager. 50 years ago, there was no job like what virtual assistant. There are many jobs today that your parents did not know. There are many passions, there are many things today that they did not know. You see that? So, what do you need to do? There are things that the results that you produce will give them light. It will make them understand that, oh, wow, so somebody can build a family doing this. Oh, somebody can make money doing this. Yes. Then you're going to do that, right? The sad thing is that many young people are only excited and they are passionate. Excitement and passion does not pay bills. Go beyond excitement, go beyond passion, and build strategy. Build models that produce results, especially in impact and money. As simple as that. You should be doing that. That is your responsibility. If not, you still need to be doing what they want to do while trying to ensure that you will come up with a business model or with a system that can produce results that they cannot question and cannot make them to now see that, oh, this actually works. Oh, this can actually make a living. Because that's the focus of your parents. Are you making a living? Right? So begin to think in that light as you build. All right. Any last question? And we're good to go.
Oh, Doc, I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much for the insights. I must say that I've gained a lot. My question it goes this way. I would like to ask from your personal experience, can you enlighten us or maybe tell us on areas where you've been able to disrupt the culture and you've seen it bring some significant progress without you alienating others?
Okay. Well, my a lot of work I've done is a lot in education. If it's disrupting cultures and disrupting systems, I've done a lot of that. At the moment, I have more than 15 frameworks that companies are using around the world in different areas, from marketing to sales to strategies and to team building, right? So and it is the same I run different academies, right? Like the Small Business Consultant Academy, a Public Speaking Academy, Workshop Academy, different programs. Why? Because knowledge is a lot of power in disrupting stuff in all of those areas. And you don't see one thing about disruption is that, like you talk about, alienate without alienating others. See, the point is that if you focus on building and innovating, you are not the one to get others out of the market, out of the industry. If they don't innovate and catch up, the industry will flush them out. That's the fact about life. And that's for everybody, every human being. If in your profession, in your business, if you are not innovating and improving, your competitor does not need to kill you. The industry will flush you out. Customers will not buy from you at all because you are no longer solving their problems at the same level that they're thinking, right? So, and the key about disruption is, what is your industry? Like I always say, this is my personal point of view, right? And I always say that one of the best gifts that you can give to yourself at your 25th birthday, this is my personal opinion, right? Is to discover the industries that you want to make a mark in. One of the best things you can give yourself is to pick an industry that you want to make a mark in. You want to make a mark in agriculture, in technology, in education, in healthcare, in what other industries, in counseling, what have you. Pick an industry or industries and begin to advance in and begin to contribute either as a disruptor, as a partaker, as a stakeholder, or in whatever capacity that you can partake is very important, right? And that is when now, because many people are confused on how to even be independent thinkers and leaders and builders because they don't even know where they should be that. Which industry, which sector of the society. Because you cannot just say, I'm going to change Cameroon. No, even the president cannot change Cameroon or change Nigeria or change Kenya, right? He needs to partner with all the key stakeholders in different sectors, in the private sector and the public sector, and work with them before change can begin to happen. Okay, so begin to do that and begin to use your creativity, the knowledge, and the wisdom that God has given you to use that now to begin to contribute and to begin to introduce and to begin to adapt. And definitely, you're going to be a major force in what you are building. All right, awesome. That is it for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Impact Linjo, for organizing this and for inviting me. I'm sure that you guys had a great time with Mr. Jason Godlove yesterday, one of the finest speakers I know, and I'm sure that the impact was proven and your life will never remain the same. I want to boldly say that there's no way that you can sit under Mr. Godlove and sit under me, and then if Mr. Linjo organizes this again next year and you come here, you come here and your impact is the same as it was. Your influence is the same as it was. Worst of all, your level of making money is the same. My brother, my sister, maybe your problem needs spiritual solution. Right? What am I trying to say? Please make sure that you get this body of knowledge that you are gathering out of this program and go execute. Like I always say, hope is hopeless without action. And if you sit under a program like this and you don't go execute and your life is changing, you are entertained, you are not informed, you are not trained. Because you can watch a movie and your life does not change. That's entertainment. But if you sit under training and pick lessons and go practice, then you were transformed. You are not entertained. So I want to ask you a question and give me feedback in the chat box. Were you entertained in the last 2 days or were you transformed? All right, Linjo, you want to take over? That is it from my end, and we're good to go.
We are very grateful, Dr. Joybit, for this wonderful presentation. Thank you very much, sir. I must say that the teaching has really been insightful and mind-blowing. You've not just challenged us from rising, you've made us you've equipped us with practical tools and nudges that we really need to bring changes in our communities and beyond. On behalf of Linjo Impact, we want to say thank you for your time, your wisdom, and your heart of impact. And we also want to thank all those who joined. And we pray that the teachings tonight will not only will not only hear them, but will put them into practice so that sometime we can come back and celebrate this change. Thank you very much. Thank you all for joining. See you some other time. Have a blessed evening.